Hello, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World, and I'm your host, Jarashma Tufshinjaral. Our top stories for today. In Mongolia, women's participation at the decision-making level stands at 17.3%. Mongolia will maintain its collaboration with the Asan Medical Center of Korea. Mongolian youth chess players secured 3 medals at the Asian Youth Chess Championships 2024. For the news, stay tuned. Women make up 50.9% of Mongolia's total population. Researchers believe that this demographic balance should be reflected in political decision-making. However, in reality, women's representation in decision-making positions in Mongolia is only 17.3%, which is much lower compared to many other countries in the world. The law stipulates that either gender should hold at least 30% of decision-making positions. As of 2023, Mongolia has 17.3% female representation in decision-making roles, ranking 127th out of 193 countries worldwide. Recently, the Mongolian government has initiated many activities to promote gender balance. However, researchers emphasize that these efforts need to be intensified in the future. The right to be elected, whether male or female, should be granted to everyone equally without any obstacles. However, due to various societal factors that influence whose rights are more effective, women are often excluded from political parties' political activities. Around 40% of the more than 1,300 candidates participating in this year's state electoral elections are women. However, this doesn't guarantee that such a percentage will be elected to decision-making positions. The outcome will be determined by the results of the people's choice. Certainly, women make up the majority of the population. Yet, when we look at parliament, women's representation falls short. I believe that the 17% figure is inadequate. In the pursuit of gender equality, I have decided to represent women who comprise 50% of the population, or at least 38.8% of the current candidates, and to elect women irrespective of party affiliation. Initially, from 1990 to 1992, out of 430 deputies of the Mongolian People's Congress, only 2 out of the 50 members elected to the Mongolian state electoral were women. However, in the latest election cycle from 2020 to 2024, out of 606 candidates, 151 were female candidates, and 13 of them have been elected to parliament. This indicates a significant improvement in gender balance compared to previous elections. The first Central Hospital of Mongolia organized an online conference on June 20th to renew the cooperation agreement with the Asan Medical Center of Korea. In a recent conference, the first Central Hospital of Mongolia was represented by Director General Hishijaral, Head of the Center for Organ Transplantation Batiredwi, and Foreign Relations Specialist Kirill Toya. From the Asan Medical Center of Korea, Kwang Kim, Head of the Communications Department, Christina Han, Senior Manager of International Communications, and Purup Surang, International Hospital Coordinator were present. During the online conference, Director General Hishijaral highlighted the successful localization of liver transplant technology in Mongolia, with 270 successful liver transplants conducted as a result of their long-standing cooperation with the Asan Medical Center. He expressed the hospital's desire to continue and strengthen this cooperation. Under the renewed cooperation agreement, the Assan Medical Center will cover accommodation, tuition fees, and food expenses for Mongolian doctors studying in Korea. Both parties discussed the scope of work and areas of collaboration, agreeing to renew the contract. Last year, 24 doctors and medical specialists from the First Central Hospital of Mongolia studied in Korea in fields such as liver and pancreas transplantation, anesthesia, intensive care, endocrinology, gastroenterology, and endoscopy. This collaboration between the two hospitals, focusing on training and professional development in organ transplantation, has been in place since 2010. Mongolian athletes achieved 3 medals at the Asian Youth Chess Championship 2024, held in Almaty, Kazakhstan, from the 9th to 19th of this month. At the Youth Championship, over 650 athletes from 33 countries, including boys and girls, competed across 6 age groups, leading to the declaration of champions in each category. In the 10-year-old age category, Anand secured the bronze medal, while Tingundala claimed the silver medal in the 14-year-old age category. FIDE Master Huslan secured the silver medal in the girls' 16-year-old category, scoring 7 points out of 9 matches. Additionally, she claimed another silver medal in the rapid category at the start of the competition. As a result, Huslan emerged with medals in 2 categories at the Asian Youth Chess Championship. The 26th Asian Youth Chess Championships saw participation from over 650 young chess players, marking the largest number of participants in Asia's history. Mongolia was represented by 27 chess players in this prestigious event. Now let's take a look at Mongolian current affairs.
Mongolia and the Republic of Uzbekistan will cooperate on digital governance and information technology. The State Secretary of the Ministry of Digital Development and Communications of Mongolia, Batsitsig Batar, received a delegation headed by the First Deputy Minister for the Development of Information Technologies and Communications of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Pikosa Oleg Andreevich, on June 19, 2024. At the meeting, the two parties exchanged views on opportunities to develop cooperation between Mongolia and Uzbekistan on digital governance and information technology. The First Deputy Minister commended the Mongolian government's e-transition policy and activities, highlighting the concrete results achieved in a short time frame. He expressed his eagerness to collaborate with Mongolia to support information technology startups in the two countries and exchange experiences to develop the e-economy in the future. Following their discussions, the two sides agreed to cooperate on the issues touched on in the meeting. On June 18th, a ceremony was held to mark the 35th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and the European Union. The ceremony was opened by Ambassador Bolt. After this, the Secretary General of the Foreign Service of the European Union, Stefano Sannino, conveyed his greetings. In his speech, Chairman Stefano Sannino emphasized that relations and cooperation between Mongolia and the European Union are developing based on the principles of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. The guests of honor at the ceremony were Member of the European Union Istvan Üseli, Member of Parliament and Vice Chairman of the Renew Party Group Frederick Ries, Head of the House of Commissioners for International Partnerships of the European Commission Taneli Lahti, and Niklas Kvarnström, Executive Director of the European External Action Office. The event was attended by representatives of cooperating organizations as well as representatives of various diplomatic missions, according to the Mongolian Embassy in Belgium.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Next, our program will turn our attention to foreign news partnered with international news agencies. A United Nations Human Rights Office report has looked at 6 Israeli attacks in Gaza in 2024 within the context of the possibility of them being seen as crimes against humanity.
That have been documented, for instance.
The report details 6 emblematic attacks involving the suspected use of GBU-31s, or 2,000-pound bombs, GBU-32, 1,000-pound bombs, and GBU-39s, 250-pound bombs, from the 9th of October to the 2nd of December 2023 on residential buildings, a school, refugee camps, and a market.
In this connection, it notes that unlawful targeting, when committed as part of a widespread or systematic attack against the civilian population in line with a state or organizational policy, may also implicate the commission of crimes against humanity, he added.
Israel's choices of methods and means of conducting hostilities in Gaza since the 7th of October, including through the extensive use of explosive weapons with wide area effects in densely populated areas, have failed to ensure that they effectively distinguish between civilians and fighters.
We start with that as a reference point and look at what else has been done from a military point of view, including the nature of weapons that's been used. So it became very clear to us that the nature of weapons that were used, especially on wide area, that have wide area effect, is extremely dangerous in the context of Gaza. And we've been saying this in several reports and statements, that Gaza is a very densely populated area. And in these 6 incidents, we had sufficient information to demonstrate the civilian casualties, both in terms of the death as well as injuries, and where we felt that the principles of international humanitarian law, particularly precaution, distinction, proportionality, were not necessarily followed.
Earlier in June, the UN Human Rights Office cited possible war crimes by Israeli forces and Palestinian armed groups in connection with a deadly raid by Israeli forces that freed 4 hostages and killed hundreds of Palestinians.
South Korea says it will consider sending arms to Ukraine after Russia and North Korea rattled the region and beyond by signing a pact to come to each other's defense in the event of war.
The comments from a senior presidential official came Thursday, hours after North Korea's state media released the details of the agreement.
Official statement of my government was announced a couple of hours ago by our National Security Advisor in Seoul. I want you to refer to the statement for the details. I just add my own voice of concern over the situation, and I would like to emphasize once again that any direct or indirect assistance or cooperation that enhances North Korea's military capability is a clear violation of the multiple UN Security Council resolutions. And it is indeed deplorable that a permanent member of the Security Council, which had agreed to the adoption of these resolutions, is now acting in violation of the resolutions and by signing this agreement. So the international community must stand united in condemning and countering any illicit activities that may undermine the international peace and security, and the government of the Republic of Korea respond to whatever actions that may threaten our national security resolutely and decisively.
Observers say it could mark the strongest connection between Moscow and Pyongyang since the end of the Cold War. It comes at a time when Russia faces growing isolation over its war in Ukraine and both countries face escalating standoffs with the West. At the United Nations in New York, South Korean Foreign Minister Chao Tae-yul called it deplorable that Russia would act in violation of multiple UN sanctions resolutions against North Korea that Moscow voted for.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Thursday that he doesn't expect North Korea's volunteers participating in the special military operation in Ukraine.
When asked if North Korean volunteers would be sent to Ukraine, Putin said, "We don't ask for this and no one has offered, therefore there is no need." At a news conference in Hanoi before leaving Vietnam, Putin also mentioned that the Western reaction to Russia and North Korea strengthening their ties was exactly what he expected. Regarding nuclear weapons, Putin stated that Russia doesn't need a preemptive strike because a retaliatory strike would guarantee the enemy's destruction. While in Vietnam, Putin signed over a dozen deals with his Vietnamese counterpart, including agreements to supply fossil fuels like natural gas. This state visit is part of Russia's effort to strengthen ties in Asia amid increasing international isolation due to the war in Ukraine. The U.S. Embassy in Vietnam sharply criticized Putin's visit, saying no country should give Putin a platform to promote his war of aggression or normalize his atrocities. The U.S. and its allies are worried about a possible possible arms deal where North Korea would provide Russia with munitions for the Ukraine war in exchange for economic assistance and technology transfers that could enhance North Korea's nuclear weapons and missile programs. Both Russia and North Korea denied these accusations, which would violate several UN Security Council sanctions that Russia previously supported.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Goodbye.